Hi everyone, today's video is going to be my eyeshadow palette collection. So very recently, it was a couple of videos ago, I posted my entire makeup collection organization, and I said in that video, like, I'm not really gonna go in detail into what I own, because I own a lot, but I just wanted to show y'all how my makeup was organized, what I was thinking about that, how my organization was guiding my purchases. And quite a few of y'all in that video were like, great, love to see it. Also, can you do some more dedicated collection videos? So I'm gonna start with eyeshadow palettes because if you follow me and you know eyeshadows are my favorite. And then I don't know where we're gonna go from here. I'm thinking single shadows, but let me know what you would like. Let me know if you have a preference and we'll play with it. If you don't know, so this is Noelle. Obviously, we're Christmas here in our home. But also, Noelle is my middle name, so anything that says Noelle, I usually get because I love it. Because I actually love my middle name. I think Noelle's the best middle name in the world. My birthday is December 30th, so that's why I'm Noelle. So yes, people are always shocked because we're going to have Christmas, and then 2 days later, we're going to get married, and then 3 days later, it's my birthday. I just love Christmas time, so why not just throw a wedding in there too, you know? It's a great festive time. So let's go ahead and get into this video. I'm going to show you my palettes, give you like a very quick review. I'm going to go ahead and link my entire product review playlist down below because almost every single one of these palettes I've done a full dedicated review to. Maybe not everyone, but a large chunk of them. Also, if you followed my channel for a very, very long time, then you know that I have really cut it down. I think I counted and I have 39. I think that's right. I don't know. At one point I had over 90. So I have cut it down. I'm honestly so much happier with the collection I have. And as we go through it, you'll know that some things are kind of on the chopping block. I'm really using my Project 10 Uses series as a way of filtering through my collection and realizing if I want to keep it or if I'm over it and I don't need it anymore. So let's just go ahead and get into it. I'm going to start with the palettes that live on top of my desk, and then we're going to go through the drawers. And that, again, will make more sense if you've seen my makeup collection videos. So the top of my desk is predominantly things that are in that Project 10 Uses series, as well as just things that fit in my little plastic drawers, and a couple of things that I just like to grab for. So this product definitely fits into that. This is the Urban Decay Smoked palette. It's retired. It's an oldie, but I really like it. And you can see I hit pan on 2 of the shades. This shade I hit pan because of a project pan, and this shade I hit pan because I just use it a lot. I know my nail polish is really bad. I haven't had time to, well, that's not true. I hate when people say they haven't had time because you have time. I just haven't prioritized painting my nails over doing other things. Let me say that. So I really like this palette to grab in for some key staples. This Freestyle shade, great transition for my skin tone. This Kinky shade, I really like it if a palette I'm using doesn't have a matte brow bone highlight. I like a matte brow bone. I grab this Backdoor shade. Use it for my brows. Not today, but that's what I usually use for my brows. And then I've got a black shade, which I like to use as a liner. And then I go into these 3 shades. What are they? Rockstar, Evidence, and Loaded. I really like to go into these 3 if I need a liner, but I don't want to go with black. I want to do like a little bit of color. I'll show you what I used today, but I think I should have gone into Rockstar to give me just a little more definition than what I've got right now, but that's okay. So yeah, I just think this is a really useful palette. As far as creating full looks with it, not the best, but as a companion palette, I really enjoy it. I use it all the time, which is why I keep it up top. Next, we have the Urban Decay Ammo palette. So this palette, I've actually used up an entire shade, and I keep this up top, honestly, just because it's small and it fits in the drawer. That's just the reason. I am planning on bringing this into a Project 10 Uses really soon because I kind of think it's gone bad. To my recollection, when I've tried to pull in some of these shades into recent looks, there just doesn't work exactly well. But I'm not 100% positive on that. That's why I want to bring it into a Project 10 Uses because I'm just not sure. You know, some days, I like the Project 10 Uses because it's like You're going to dedicate yourself to using this product and really figuring out how you feel about it. Because it's really easy to like create an eye look and you're like, I don't like it, but did I just mess up? Or do I not like this palette anymore, you know? So because of that, I want to pull it into a project 10 uses really soon, see how I feel about it. I've already used up one shade, which I feel pretty good about. But yeah, there's this palette, just kind of about it. I need to know more. Unfortunately, you'll see there's quite a few palettes where I need to know more, and that's kind of gross. I would like to know how I feel about all of my palettes, but at this point in my life, I do not. Then I have this Stila Eyes Are the Window Body Palette. It's a very similar story to the Urban Decay Ammo. I think this palette is beautiful. I do really like this shade, which is called Pink Diamond, as a lid shade. It's just a very neutral, beautiful look. I pull in these shades as liners sometimes, and I really just keep this up top because it's a perfect size for me to hold while I'm doing my makeup, and this whole thing is a mirror, so it's great to like, let me have a great mirror that I can use to put my makeup on. But I don't want to keep a palette for that. With this and the Ammo palette, I think another one of my like hesitations is because it is so used. You know, we're missing this shade. It actually fell out. I didn't use it up. We've got Pan over here. I wouldn't feel super good about giving this to someone. I don't think this is a nice present because it is really beat up. The packaging as well, I don't know if you can really tell because it is just like mirrored, but it's really beat up, and I just don't think like, oh, here's a nice gift for you. So I know that if I decide I don't want to keep it, I'm probably gonna throw it away, which I don't feel good about. But this also needs to go in my project 10 uses really soon, so I can just figure out if I'm gonna keep it or not. Now the remaining 5, are currently in my project 10 uses, so I'm currently deciding how I feel about them. First, we have the Urban Decay Electric palette. I feel like this is pretty much a classic. I really like these 8 shades. I really hate these 2. I think that's not like an abnormal feeling about this palette. I love this palette. I love creating looks with it. I think it's so much fun. I just don't know if I already have these shades other places. And that's because I think I have a friend that would really like this palette. So I don't know, I have to decide that. But as far as this palette goes, I love it. I think it's beautiful and I really, really like it. Next, I have the Too Faced Gingerbread Spice palette. I also really like this palette. This is what I use today. So I've got reindeer paws on my brows. Gumdrop is that hot pink you're seeing. I have Figgy Pudding as my liner, and then I used 2 Colourpop singles that I just got from a subscriber. I know, the kindest thing. It made me so happy. So I've got Seeker in the outer corner and then Birthday Cake on the lid. Birthday Cake's a little darker than I thought it would be. It's the first time I've used it. And then I'm using a shade from this palette on my inner corner, which we'll get there. It's gonna be a long one, y'all. So I love this palette. I think it's beautiful. I do find myself really drawn to this half of the palette and not so much this half. I'm trying to explore this half more as I'm doing this project 10 uses. I think I've used it so far 6 times. So there you go. That tells you. Still playing with it. Another favorite palette, the Anastasia Riviera palette. This was also a gift from a subscriber. Y'all spoil me so much, so much. I'm so lucky. I love this palette. I love these metallics. They are absurdly good. I cannot help myself. Well, I guess I don't want to help myself, to be completely accurate. Almost every time I do a look, I end up with this Bahama shade because how could you not look at it? I love it so much. I love this palette so much. The only reason why this is still in my project 10 uses is because I do feel like it's a very spring-summer palette. And you can wear whatever color makeup you want whenever you want, but I do like to go pretty seasonal with my makeup. That's a personal preference. It's not a requirement. So I haven't drawn it as much, but I love this palette. This is the Magic palette by Juvia's Place, one of my newest palettes. I bought. I don't know why I said acquired. That was like I just found them. I bought 3 palettes this year, and this is one of them. I bought them all about a month and a half ago, maybe a couple months ago. And this, like I said, is one of them. I love this palette for the most part. These 2 shades, oh gosh, Ify Yajidi I don't know how to say them. That doesn't sound right, does it? Are really dry and kind of hard to work with, even as liners. The quality of these shades are amazing though. Besides that, they blend really nicely. My only issue is this I think is my only palette I've had this problem with. Well, definitely one of the only ones. Sometimes I have a hard time finding looks with it. And, you know, I know that's like a common thing, but for me, I usually do not have that problem. I usually can go into a palette, find a bunch of looks I like really easy, but not with this one. It's an interesting assortment of shades, but I like it, and, you know, I'm definitely still playing with it. This is in my Project 10 uses as well, and I've used it 3 times. Okay, and then the last top of the drawer palette is this Stila Tin Pan Palette. And that was upside down. Here you go. Really pretty, really large. These shades are absolutely fabulous. These other shades are okay. And I'll just tell you, spoiler alert, and I'll obviously cover it in that video, I have decided to go ahead and declutter this palette. My friend loves this shade and really wants it. And so I was like, well, I'm just gonna give you this palette, like, after I make that video. So I'm gonna make that video about, you know, the end of, or my next Project 10 Uses update, and then this will be out of my collection. It's just, for me, it's not exactly what I want, you know? Some of these shades, they just are a little harder to blend. And when I have so much, and you see that, and we're gonna keep going for a while. I don't need to keep something that I just think is okay. I just don't, because I've got things that I think are fabulous. And we know makeup goes bad. I mean, this Ammo palette, it's not that it's a bad palette. I think it's gone bad. At the beginning of this Project 10 Uses, I got rid of the Balm Cosmetics Rockstar palette because it went bad. So we know that happens. So there's no reason to keep these things around and take away from using things that I actually love. So those are all my top of the drawer palettes. And now we're gonna get into the collection itself. So let's just go. And for palettes, I'm just gonna tell you, these are like everything that's got 5 or more shadows. So I had this Makeup Forever Artist 9 Pan palette. These came out and they were really popular quite a few years ago. This shade is what I use today as my inner corner. I like this shade a lot. It's a very shimmery palette, very pretty. You do have to dig in a little bit to get your product, but it's still pretty good. I like it. This is another one of those maybe has gone bad palettes and needs to bring in my Project 10 Uses probably in the spring. The Too Faced Sugar Pop palette. One of my first palettes. I got it after I graduated from undergrad, I know. So that was in 2015, so it's 5 years old. But it's so cute, and I just really like the color selection quite a bit. So I need to play with it and decide if I want to still keep it. But I do like it. I did like it when it was new. Smashbox Masterclass Volume 4. A huge, huge palette. I really like the cheek products in here. And I do like the shadows. They're not my favorite, but I do like them. I think the issue is there's a lot of these like really flaky kind of topper shades, and those are the ones I always want to reach into and use, and then I'm always disappointed with it, which is my own fault because I know they're not great. But, you know, a lot of these, like I said, I need to bring into that Project 10 Uses and really dedicate myself to deciding if I want to keep it or not. I also have the Smashbox Masterclass Volume 3. This was 100%, and Emily Noel made me buy it because she loved this palette so much. We've got this Smashbox Contour palette, which also had its heyday for a while on YouTube. We've got the neutral side, the colorful side. I like these shadows a lot better than the other ones. There's really no duds in here as far as I'm concerned, so I like this a lot. All right. The next drawer. That drawer also had single shadows, so. Okay, these are some of my bigger, like in size palettes. The Besame Cosmetics Snow White palette. I know a lot of people don't like the quality of Besame Cosmetic shadows. They think they're beautiful. I mean, like, you don't have more beautiful packaging than this. And it's so on theme with the property because this is actually the shades that was used in the movie. But I think this palette's great. I think they blend really nicely. I do find myself wanting to reach in for some shimmer a lot of times just because that's like a personal preference for me. I don't like an all matte look, but I like this palette for sure. The Urban Decay Full Spectrum palette. This again is the reason why I kind of think I could maybe get rid of the electric palette because I've got everything in here and this is a fabulous palette. Unfortunately, it is broken. I don't know how that mirror broke, but it did. But it's stunning. You need a rainbow palette. This one's great. It had a lot of flack when it first came out, and I still don't understand that because I think it's very high quality. And obviously, I have a lot of experience with makeup, but you know, it's subjective. This is the Too Faced Smoky Eye palette, an old palette, but a good one. This silver is the best silver I own. Like, you don't get better than that. You just don't, in my opinion. Great palette, very smoky look. A lot of times I need to bring something else in, just, you know, so I don't get too dark, but it's a good one. The Pirates of the Caribbean Lorac palette. I really like this palette. I think it's got a really unique collection of shades in it, and I think it's just pretty. I don't know, like, it's just pretty. I love Pirates of the Caribbean. I love Johnny Depp. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I do think this is going to go in my Project 10 uses really soon, only because I feel like it's a very wintry palette, and I want to use it at this time of year. Kat Von D Mi Vita Loca palette, a classic. I don't really like Kat Von D very much anymore, but I do still like this palette. This palette is definitely one that is aging and getting older and older by the day, but I still reach in for it quite a bit, and I do still really think it's a good palette so far, but I know that this one might be leaving my collection pretty soon. This is the Beauty Treats Matte Eye palette. They're not all matte. It is definitely a really inexpensive palette, but some of these shades are just so good. This light blue is the best light blue I have. So I keep it because, honestly, because of that shade, which is kind of gross. I don't know. I probably need to figure out more about this palette too, but I do like it. It does very much smell like paint, which a lot of cheaper palettes do. The Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. I'm from Georgia. I had to have this palette. I just had to have it. I like it. Very similar to the Gingerbread palette. I find myself very much focusing on this half of the palette and kind of ignoring this half. I don't know why, but I do really like it. I think it's a good palette. Yeah, it's good. It's not one of my favorites, but it's good. And then this one has been beat up. This was my that palette for a while. I do have a Project Pan idea that I'm excited about, but I'm waiting to start it until I'm doing a full face of makeup again. We are still very much in COVID time, and so I'm only doing eye makeup. Like today, I only have this on. The rest of it, that's just what I look like. So, I don't want to start this project because I don't want to do 10 different eye products in it, but I have an idea and I'm excited about it, and this will definitely be highly featured in that idea. But this palette, quite used up. I have pan in every shade. This shade is gone. This shade is barely holding on. I do still really like it though. Every time I reach in for it, there's a couple of shades I don't love, but it's high quality, really shimmery, really pretty. I didn't really love the Lorac Pro palettes. I had Pro 1 and 2, Mega Pro 2, and I don't anymore. I got rid of all 3 of those. But this one and the Pirates of the Caribbean one, obviously they're Disney, and I love Disney. I really love Disney. But I also just think they're really good, like higher quality than those other ones. Okay, we're on the last drawer of palettes now. So, I've got the Too Faced Clover palette. You know, if I ever had a makeup brand, which is not like a dream of mine, but if I did, you can guarantee there would be a Kanga Noel and a Hippocampus palette. There definitely would be. So I love that Jared did a palette about his dog. This is a very fun palette, very colorful. A little bit similar actually to the Juvia's Place Magic palette. Sometimes I have a hard time coming up with looks with this palette, which again does not happen to me very often. I don't know why, but sometimes I feel like I just do the same look over and over. But I do like it a lot. Then I have the Too Faced Chocolate Bonbons palette. I don't have any of the other chocolate bar palettes, and I know this one was actually discontinued, but I like it. It's very cool tone, very pretty. I like it. I have a cool tone skin. You can probably tell that because, again, I don't have any other makeup on besides just like, you know, very subtle light pink wash of color on my eyes. So I have a cool tone skin, and I really like the way this looks on me. So I think this is good. I have the Kat Von D Pastel Goth palette. Kind of similar to the Urban Decay Smoked palette that I was talking about earlier. I don't like to do a full look with this palette, but I love to grab a shade to put especially in the crease. Like if I'm doing a purple look, I almost always grab one of these two shades. If I'm doing like a really orangey look, I like to go in here. So I like to pull this in for pieces of it, but doing a full look with this palette, I'm usually disappointed with it. But, you know, they blend really nicely. They're very highly pigmented matte, so it's hard to complain about it. I love this palette. Urban Decay Moon Dust. First of all, the packaging, absolutely perfect. Perfect in every way. This palette, I love it. Every time I reach in for one of these shades, I'm very highly satisfied with the overall look. They're super sparkly. They do have a lot of fallout. They're just glitter, so that's not surprising. But I love them, and they're a little bit unique, like especially Lithium and Galaxy and Magnet. A lot of them, like in the pan, you're just like, oh, that's a blue glitter. But then you get it on the eyes and you realize how multidimensional it is. Truly, I think it's one of the best palettes that Urban Decay has come out with. But obviously, as you can tell from my collection, and if you watch me, I like color. I enjoy kind of a lot going on with my makeup. So that's my opinion. The Anastasia Beverly Hills Maya Mia palette. I think this one is also very much on her way out. No palette. But I've used up this entire shade Deep Brown. I used it in my brows. I think this is also one of those that like just doesn't inspire me that much. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that it's bad quality, but it's not one that I'm like, oh, here's a look, here's a look, here's a look, here's a look. It's just like, oh, it's fine. So I don't know. I don't know how long that'll stay in my collection in the future either. I have the Urban Decay Venus 3 palette. This is another one that I have recently acquired. And I love this palette. I am almost positive this is what I'm going to wear for my wedding day. I'm really upset. So I told you I was going to do some wedding day practice looks. And I did one. Filmed it. It was going great. And then it cut off. And I thought about just posting it anyway. But then I decided because I had done the whole face, and then I was just trying to talk to you about how I felt about everything, and it cut off. And I decided that just wasn't a very good video to just cut off like that, and I didn't want to post it, so I've already deleted it. But I am listening, and I do want to do those videos, but I created one look with this palette. I used this shade Beam. I can post, you know what I'll do? Because I took pictures because my mom and sister want to see how I'm going to do my makeup. For some reason, they think I might overdo too much makeup on my wedding day. What's that? I don't know where they would get that idea. So I did take some pictures for my mom and sister, and I can post those on Instagram if you want to see the look, but it was all using this palette. It was a little too purpley because John's not here. I can tell you, my dress is it's like a white with some light pink in it. And so I don't want to be too purpley. I also want to wear a red lipstick because it's a Christmas wedding, and I felt like the purple didn't go perfectly well. So it didn't work out exactly how I wanted. But I'll post a picture of that, and I will do more videos, but I think I'm going to use this palette for my wedding because obviously these are my shades, and I love it. I really love that. Seems like the next logical thing would be to go to the Venus 1 palette. I don't own any of the other Venus palettes, but I really like the Venus 1. Lime Crime chose for, they own their own makeup brand. They do what they want. They decided this year to do a greatest hits palette where they took shades from all of their palettes and put them all together. There's quite a few shades from both of these palettes in it. That's why I say that. But I can tell you that these are very high quality. These mattes blend so nicely and they're very highly pigmented. I'm a big fan of the Lime Crime shadow formula, and I would definitely be interested in collecting more of their palettes. All right. I have the Sephora Minis World in Color palette. So this came out a very long time ago. Obviously, I have used it quite a bit. I do really appreciate when some of my palettes like this one, and like, maybe not quite as much as the Beauty and the Beast, but like, y'all can tell some of my palettes look really used and some of them look very unused. But this one I feel like looks used, and I like that. I do really like these shades. This shade, Ex-Boyfriend, is an amazing inner corner highlight, just so shimmery. Some of the mattes I'm just fine with, but a lot of these shimmers I think are very high quality. Like, what's another one I like? So that one doesn't show up as well, but like, look at those. Those are beautiful. Like, Sephora collection, hello, come through. Very pretty. Very, very, very pretty. So I do really like this palette. This is one, and I'm kind of excited about this, like, because when I was project planning, like, very much, I just kept thinking about how I was going to use every single thing up. And since I'm not doing that anymore, I kind of get excited by the fact that I could use up some of the shades that I really love and then be done. I don't have to use up every single shade. Like, I don't like this Whoopie Party. It's very patchy. I don't have to use that up. And that seems really obvious, but if you pan, then you know that, like, it's really easy to get sucked into this world of, like, I've got to use up everything I have even if I hate it. Same with the Beauty and the Beast palette, and it was a pan that palette, so the whole goal was to use it up, and obviously I didn't. But, like, this Romance shade I don't really like. And this, I think it's Our Guest. One of these were, like, pretty patchy. But I was like, well, I gotta use it up, you know, I just gotta grin and bear it. But you don't. You don't. And that's dumb. So I'm excited by that. Especially, like I said, when I have so much, there's no reason to use up things I don't like. This is the Tarte Tarteist Pro Palette. This is still available. John got it for me one of our first Christmases together. When we still did presents. If you don't know, John and I do not do presents for each other anymore, which is another reason why having Christmas, our anniversary, and my birthday all in one, like, week doesn't really matter, because we don't get each other presents. We share a bank account. We don't do, I know a lot of couples give each other a budget. We don't do that. The way we do it works very, very well for us. You know, I mean, every couple has to decide how they're going to do their money, and we just share it all. And that's what works well for how he and I live. So we're very happy with that, and we just don't do presents. We like to go out to eat. You know, food is one of our favorite things, so we like to go out to eat to celebrate things, so we don't do presents. But this is one of the last presents he got me. And I do really like it. I don't know. I think this needs to go on a Project 10 uses, because though I've had it for a while, and I like it okay, I don't know that I like it enough to keep it, if that makes sense. Because obviously I have way more than I can use before it goes bad. I do, and I know that. And having makeup go bad on me recently has just really changed my mindset about buying new makeup. So then we have the Urban Decay Gwen Stefani palette. Another one I need to explore more. So I remember when I got this palette, this was definitely one that I 100% got because it went on sale on Sephora. That is the only reason. I had no desire to buy it besides that. And I bought it just to have more. But then, I'm sorry, I got a text message. Okay, it's fine. I just, like, all of a sudden was like, I thought it was something from my lab because, and I don't know why. I get panicked sometimes. It's fine. Anyway, I bought this palette only because it was on sale. And then I started using it and I realized I loved it. But then I put it away because I bought 27 more palettes. So I need to play with this more and decide if I still love it or not. Then I have the Alice Through the Looking Glass palette. This is beautiful. I think this was my first Disney palette. And obviously I've gotten more since, and I love them. I love them all. Well, I don't love them all, but you know. So this palette is great. It really is. It's got a really cool collection of colors that I really enjoy, and I really like using it. And I think almost all the shades are great. This Metamorphosis shade is a little, is a little bit disappointing. But besides that, I just like it. I just do. I just like it. So there you go. Good palette. Holds up. Unfortunately, is probably also going bad soon. A lot of these are because I went on a 2-year no-buy. If you don't know that, yeah. I have all of this makeup. I've gotten rid of over half of my makeup. And I was on a 2-year no-buy. And I still have all of this. Just shows you how quickly you can use that makeup, because I wear makeup almost every single day. So, there you go. Tarte Magic Star palette. This is one of the last palettes I got before I went on my no-buy. It's a very good palette. It's really soft, if that makes sense. Like, it's not going to give you this, like, high, like, bam looks. But the shimmers in here are just really pretty, and they have this uniqueness to them that I can't really describe, but I really like them. Really like them. Really like this palette. It's bulky, but, you know, I like it. This is the Urban Decay Urban Spectrum palette. I forgot that in one of my recent videos, and y'all reminded me, which I very much appreciate. All shimmer, all color, loving all of it. This is another one that makes me very sad because I can tell already it's starting to go bad. Not already. I've had it for like 4 or 5 years. And it says to have it for 2 years. So, it's not surprising. I'm not dissing the formulas or any of these brands if their makeup goes bad. It's because I've had them for so long because I own too much, which we're working on. We're working on changing that. So, this is a great palette though. Beautiful. I used some of these bluey shades for my sister's wedding because she loves blue eyeshadow. We didn't do like a hardcore blue eyeshadow look, but we did lots of blue accents, and I used this palette because she loved it. I'll probably do it for my wedding too, because I'm doing her makeup. I'm doing the makeup for my own wedding because I know how I want it. I also obviously wear a lot of makeup, surprise, and I don't want a makeup artist trying to tell me I can't wear the makeup I want to wear. I don't want that. I want to wear the makeup I want. And I've only had my makeup professionally done once, and it was not good. Didn't like it at all. It wasn't for my wedding, so it was fine. But I didn't like it. So, this is the last palette that I've recently purchased. The Violet Voss Pro Hashtag palette. This is one that I wanted for so long. And now I have it. And it's okay. This is a great example of how, I don't know if y'all do this, I certainly do. You'll be like, oh, I just need it. If I just have this one last one, I'll be so happy. I'll use it all the time. I'll be great. I'll never buy eyeshadow again. I felt like this about this palette for years. This came out right before my no-buy. 2 years I pined after this palette. I decided to buy it. It's good. It doesn't change my life. Here I am, still a third-year PhD student studying parasites and community ecology. Nothing's changed. It's okay. I love my life. I'm not complaining. I have the coolest job in the world. But, you know, it's just a great reminder that, like, buying an eyeshadow palette isn't going to make, like, I wasn't all of a sudden a millionaire. Because, like I told y'all, being a grad student, happy with it, love it so much. Wouldn't change it for the world. But, I wouldn't change being a grad student. I would change our pay. Well, it's not so good. But, you know, we make it work. Then I have the Sephora Pantone Universe Watercolor palette. I think this is one of the last ones they did. Sephora used to come out with like the Pantone collection. I also have, when they came out with Radiant Orchid, I feel like it was really big. I have that blush palette. We'll do blushes and like cheek products one day too, guys. Don't even worry. Y'all, I'm trying not to use gendered group pronouns, especially as a professor. I just try to be very cognizant of all these things and be respectful of other people. I know, shocking. Can you believe it? Who would do that? A decent human being, in my opinion, but whatever. So, y'all, non-gendered. I really like this palette. It's very light, very spring, summer. Again, kind of similar to this Tarte Magic Star palette. These shimmers don't look like very much in the pan, but they're just really soft and pretty on the eyes. I like this palette a lot. I'll probably bring that into my Project 10 uses this spring and play with it some more. I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. This was the holiday palette for the Makeup Forever, when they came out with that other, this one, when like they came out with this new eyeshadow formula. It was like the bee's knees, everyone needed it. And this was the palette, the holiday palette. And it's okay. It's very dark, as you can see. It's okay. It's just okay. I don't know. This one probably needs to go in a Project 10 uses as well on the side. if I need to keep it. As you can tell, I have a lot of shades, or a lot of makeup that needs to go in that project, and really let me decide. I'm really liking that project. I highly recommend it if you're like me and have a large collection and need to just figure out what you want to keep and not. And then, once you figure it out, don't just go out and buy like 27 more palettes. That's the hard part. Okay, and then I've got these last two palettes have already been through my Project 10 uses. I've decided I want to keep them. First, the Anastasia Prism palette. Love it. Love it. Really cool, unique collection of shades. Obviously screams fall, at least to me. This Dimension shade, beautiful. I love also that after this project, it does look like I've used it. It doesn't look brand new. This Throne shade, absolutely stunning. Love everything about this palette. So happy to have it in my collection. And I can feel so strongly and confident about it because I've used it over 10 times very recently. So, again, love that project. Then I have the Urban Decay Vice 4 palette. Also really love this palette. It's great. This shade, obviously, Flame, is my favorite in the palette. But I got to play with a lot more, like this green and purple in my Project 10 uses, and I really love it. I will say this is also aging, and I would not be surprised if within the next year or two this has to leave. Not because I don't love it, but because it's getting old. And while I would be like, I'll just use it up, that's not gonna happen. I used this palette almost exclusively for 16 months. And Lorac has a notoriously powdery formula, not shadow, formula. And look at that. So I don't know, I don't feel like I'm light-handed with my makeup, but I'm not gonna sit there and be like, I'll just try to use it up. I'm not gonna do that. I'm over that part of my life. And that's okay, we grow. And that's my eyeshadow palette collection. So just like, 2 or 3 palettes, I have a lot. I love them. I'm really excited about getting to know my collection better and better. And I'm excited about decluttering things that I know I don't love. I can give them to people that I do love and that I think will love the products as well. So I'm happy about that. I'm really in a good spot as far as makeup is concerned. I'm loving it, but I don't feel like I need to buy a bunch. And I do, I know that once I decide I want to start getting more eyeshadows, I'm gonna go with singles. Not because I don't love palettes, but because almost every palette that I have, there's like a couple of shades where I know I'm not gonna use them up. I know I don't really like them. And some of that's formula, but some of that's shade. Like I have, 15 black eyeshadows. So I don't need to buy another palette with a black eyeshadow, even if I love everything else in it. So I love the idea of singles where I can make my own palettes and I can eliminate some of these repeated shades that are in a lot of palettes, which makes sense that they're in a lot of palettes, but I just don't need them. So that's one of the reasons why I really want to go towards buying singles, but not for a bit. Like I talked about that in my makeup collection and storage video about how I want everything to lay flat before I start purchasing more. And I am pretty dedicated to that at the moment. Gotta remind myself of that when I see new things and I'm like, oh, I want it. But yeah, so there's my eyeshadow palette collection. I hope you enjoyed this video, found it fun, maybe insightful. You know now how I feel about all of these palettes. And yeah, let me know what you want to see me do next. Like I said, I'm thinking single eyeshadows, but if you have a different opinion, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And yeah, I'll just see y'all real soon. Bye.